and she's coming from afar. And we couldn't let her go back without us having tapped into her magic, into her book. So I'm going to read from her book, From GOKWE to Oxford, The Girl Who Dared to Dream. Are you ready for some exciting literature this morning? It is pages telling the stories of our Zimbabwean writers. And if you are one such person who feels like, for like in any one to know your mabuku, you have the opportunity to do that right here on Capitalk 100.4 FM Harare, Zimbabwe. All you need to do is to go on our socials at Capitalk FM, or look for me at For Like a Sage, and certainly let me know that you have some writings that you would like us to share. So I'm about to read to you one of my favorite parts from the book From GOKWE to Oxford, and then you get to meet the lovely lady in studio, looking also lovely. Vanhu vajara kugara miri kwamakungwa havatonhogwi. Isu munotose chando chatikuvadza munotiona tose muno, and we're also going to be live on our Facebook page, by the way. Isusu munotose takapfeka malong sleeves nei. But this writer, apart from the fact that she's pretty and has got a beautiful caramel skin tone, nonetheless, you're going to meet her in a minute. I want to read from her book, From GOKWE to Oxford. Welcome to The Crunch with Folake.
In everything I do, I move confidently to outstretch the parameters of how you should see yourself, so that you can reframe your life. Folake on Capitalk 100.4 FM.
It's happiness all day long on the happy station, Capitalk 100.4 FM.
Harare's heartbeat.
From GOKWE to Oxford, The Girl Who Dared to Dream, Petronella Munhenzva. Chapter 6, The Gap Years After High School. God may not come when you want him to, but he will come at the right time. God may not come when you want him to, but he will come at the right time. I'm starting this chapter with words of encouragement because it speaks to the period in my life where I really needed to be encouraged, and sadly, I never really was. And this became one of the most trying phases of my life. To begin the story about this phase of my life, I will start by telling you what went wrong. For starters, I didn't get the points I wanted, and because of that, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and that is to get into law school. I had always wanted to be a lawyer, and everyone in my family knew it, especially Dad. I'm saying especially him because when I wrote my O-level and I had done well and gotten A's in the subject that I wanted to study for my A-level, but there was one problem. I had failed Shona, my first language. Yes, you saw that correctly. I failed, and it was Shona of all subjects. So when I tell you that it is very possible to overcome failure, I know what I'm talking about. But that is not the focus right now. The focus is that my father knew that I wanted to do law, and when I failed Shona, he said to me, lawyers need to have passed 2 languages at O-level. For that reason, I had to write Shona again and pass it this time. So when others were rewriting mathematics, I was rewriting both. Yes, I failed maths the first time as well. I remember the statement that used to say then, which went something like, I'm allergic to numbers. And sure enough, the exams had lots of allergies. So my father made me not write mathematics again only, but also Shona. I'm comfortable talking about my moments of failure because they were exactly that, moments. I have since had better moments and can look back even on the not so good moments and smile. Because moments come and go. The attitude that you use to deal with those is what will determine where you end up. So if they told you that your failing maths would be the end of your big dreams, tell them that I said they are wrong. Huge disclaimer though. Don't say I told you not to study or pass mathematics. I said don't dwell on the failure if you didn't get it right the first time. Do it again and again, gracefully till you get it right, because success isn't attached to intelligence, but to grit. Grit is the courage and resolve, strength of character. It is the ability to go for what you want and not giving up. Mind you, it's not always easy and rosy. I struggle sometimes. I get overwhelmed. And I have to recharge by talking to people in my life who God has given me to hold my hand. You need those kind of people and friends as well. Friends, this is an entire chapter on its own. For now, let me go back to my story. My father knew that I really wanted to do law, and that is why he gave me the chance to correct what we all perceived to have been mistakes then. Imagine after doing all that and then not getting the points needed to go into law school. I can see many trying to ask for the spirit of prophecy for the number of points I got. Well, I will tell you that they were double digits but fell short of the ones needed to do law. I've already told you my grade 7 units. A girl needs to have some secrets too. There I was with happy but slightly disappointed parents, teachers, family, and friends because I was a good student by all standards. What hurt the most wasn't what they thought. It is what I thought. I was disappointed, down, and was confronted by what I thought was the reality of shattered dreams. This sounds a little too familiar, doesn't it? You didn't get the points that you wanted. Maybe you missed by one, or maybe just maybe. Well, there's a reason why that happens. I'm not saying this only from knowledge of my head. I am saying this from what the Word of God as well, which says that everything works together for good for those who love Christ and are called according to his purpose. Don't fight the will and the plan of God. You will only derail yourself from what God has for you. I'm speaking from experience on this one. I was so caught up wanting to become a lawyer so much that I did not stop to see what God's purpose for my life was. Sometimes we're so obsessed in pursuing our goals and we don't give room to the Spirit of God. Instead of getting there, we end up just frustrating ourselves, sometimes even out of the presence and the plan of God. I wanted to be a lawyer and I was determined that I would be one. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step in either direction, the wrong way or the right way. Make sure that your determination is on the right way. What did I do after all this? Well, I applied to South African universities because I stood a chance there to get into law schools. I remember I applied to the University of Johannesburg and University of KwaZulu-Natal. In all this, my parents held my hand and supported me in the pursuit of what I thought then was my destiny. I had to go through a HESA process of changing my Zimbabwean results into their South African equivalent. I did this and submitted my applications. I was happy and relieved because I thought I was a step closer to getting to my dream. But there was one problem. I had used my A-level result slip and they needed the certificate, or in 120 days they would forfeit my application. I went to ZimSec to try and expedite the process of getting my certificate earlier than the provisioned 2 years, which has since been reduced to a year. They could not do it for me, and both my applications were denied because I didn't have the certificate needed. By the time this happened, it was already too late for me to apply to any local university, which I hadn't bothered to apply in the first place because of the prospect of going to South Africa. There I was, failed to get into law school. I can't apply for any local universities. I was stuck. Stuck at home with no clear way forward, stuck in a phase of my life that was supposed to have ended up, but was continuing. This meant that where I was ideally supposed to spend 6 months at home before starting university education, I was going to spend an entire year and a half. This meant 1.5 years of seeing classmates in universities while I felt left behind. I was going to watch them progress with their lives while I remained in GOKWE. Nembudzia living the same normal life. I felt lost, down, distraught, and like I was going to get old without fulfilling my plan. There were really no tunnels offering me light at the end. Semester after semester, I would watch my sister return together with some of my friends for vacation, while I had not even left GOKWE the whole time. So I was reading to you chapter 6, parts of chapter 6 from the book From GOKWE to Oxford. And the writer of this intriguing book is here. And we're going to talk a little bit more about her book. So this writer literally is from GOKWE and ended up in Oxford. She's also a research consultant. She's also a speaker. She's an author. She's a recent Master of Philosophy graduate. She studied at Oxford University. She's also serving as one of the coordinators of Africa Working Group with Young Scholars Initiative, where she organized conferences in countries like the US, Italy, Nigeria, amongst many others. She's also an academic. She's an academic writer with publications in notable journals, as well as chapter contributions to different book projects. It goes on. She's also a co-founder of APIDZIM, which is a Zimbabwean woman-led research firm, and she's sworn to helping organizations and individuals make important business decisions through the use of analysis of actionable research astuteness. We were reading from the book GOKWE to Oxford, The Girl Who Dared to Dream, and this book is pretty much, I'm sure you can tell, an inspirational book meant to challenge you to confront your past and do amazing things. And if you could do with a candle of light and a nudge, this is that book. Anyway, please help me welcome today's guest on Pages, Petronella Munhenzva. Petronella, hello and welcome.
Hello, Falake. Thank you so much for having me.
It's wow, this book though. And what I loved about this book, and I think the listener might also attest to this, is how relatable your story is. Your dad is all our dads. All right, so we're just having a little bit of some feedback. It's Capital 100.4 FM Harare Zapi. But when we get back, let's talk a little bit about your dad. Goodness, making you repeat because of Shona and maths.
And the worst part was when you're writing all of Shona, you have set books. So the year that I wrote and the year that I repeated, the set books had changed. So I had to reread the whole novels again, and I was doing A-level. It was interesting.
And ironically, here you are also writing novels and books. Well, this is not quite a novel, but here you are writing.
Definitely.
All right, so it's 9:30. It's Capital 100.4 FM. Harare's Heartbeat. We'll continue our conversation in a minute.